Chase Thomas podcast. My nephew needs me to record. See, I already hate it. I hate it.
All right, hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Chase Thomas podcast, where I'm still the aforementioned Chase Thomas, coming to you live from Knoxville, Tennessee, Everything School HQ, with the NFL Super Friends, which could be our last show ever because Evan Sowards of 49ers Hub, I don't know what to expect from Evan on this very podcast. I don't know if the 49ers have broken him over the last 48 hours. I don't know what we have in store for this very show. Jarrett Bailey of USA Today is here. JP Acosta of SB Nation is here. And the man of the hour, because his franchise moved on from a quarterback that they traded 3 first-round picks for, traded up, was the guy, and is no longer the guy, and is, I guess, seen around the league as not a guy because that was a QB2 trade for a certain North Dakota State product who will now be backing up Dak Prescott for the foreseeable future. Shout out to Will Greer. Maybe he gets on. I don't know where he goes, but good preseason from him. Evan, we have to start with you. How are you?
I'm broken, defeated, tired, sad, not surprised, not confused. If you've been a 49ers fan, what I'd like to call the second generation 49ers fan, right? There was essentially what I call BR, right? Before rings. So, if you think about like 1998, 2003, right? It was really before, 95, I'd say, before rings. That was the good times, right? That was what your father's 49ers fans remembered. The 2 best quarterbacks, one of, 2 of Steve Young's. I can't do this, dude. I'm so annoyed right now. Dog, we literally traded 3 first-round picks and a 3rd-round pick for nothing. Literally nothing. And all anyone wants to say is, well, the team's still good. Like, no one can just in good faith talk about how earth-shatteringly terrible that trade was. How that because Kyle Shanahan is a good offensive play caller, they just absolve him from the worst trade of maybe the entire 21st century.
Ooh. I don't know if I'm there.
Here's my thing.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to talk about all these bad trades and they're not even the 40. The problem that I have is we're not done yet. Everyone's like, oh, well, Trey Lance is gone. Yeah, but it's not the worst trade ever. The 49ers are about to make Nick Bosa the highest paid defensive player in the NFL. They already have Fred Warner, George Kittle, Trent Williams, all those contracts locked up. They still are going to need to pay Brandon Ayuk, which they might not be able to. They were going to need those 3 first-round picks for really anything, but certainly for young, talented rookie players that would be cheap. The 49ers could have potentially, with the right first-round draft picks, won 1, 2, 3 Super Bowls. How many Super Bowls with the right picks over the course of those 3 years, right? Because they were only a Jimmy Garoppolo sale to Emmanuel Sanders away from a Super Bowl, right? They were 1 interception from Jimmy Garoppolo away from going to the Super Bowl again, which they very well could have won too. Everyone wants to talk about just the Trey Lance. Well, yeah, it was a bad trade, but you guys are good now. Well, that window just got immensely smaller and tighter because you take all of your resources and you trade it for a quarterback. Troy Smith has more snaps for the 49ers than Trey Lance.
That is kind of hilarious.
That is
Brutal.
I'm
Troy
also
Smith.
not going to pretend that I remember that Troy Smith was a 49er. My only recollection of Troy Smith is a Raven. I did not know he was a Niner.
Yo, yeah, trust me. I remember. 49ers fans remember because that
Great
was
college
really,
quarterback.
Yeah. Okay. I hate it. I hate this circumstance because Kyle Shanahan has created this little insulated bubble where he is completely without getting criticized. He's got John Lynch as his little GM who, if anything goes wrong, you're like, well, he's not the GM, even though Kyle's the GM. Kyle's clearly making all of these decisions. And then you have an assistant GM under John Lynch, who's really the person that's probably making a lot of the picks, and Adam Peters doing a lot of the work, right? Adam Peters is a very, very good GM. Probably why they're getting all these great picks in the 5th round, the 6th round, or the last round, or the last pick of the entire draft. So Trey Lance got traded to the Cowboys for a 4th round pick. There is nowhere a 49ers fan would have wanted him to go less. It's not even I remember when I right away, I was like, oh, that's actually a decent spot for him. And then like I had 3 seconds to emotionally think about that. Like, no, that's a terrible spot. Not only is Trey Lance not going to be a 49er, he's got to go to the Cowboys and sit under he's QB3 behind Cooper Rush. You said he's going to back up Dak. He's not backing up Dak. He's backing up Cooper Rush. And then he has Schottenheimer and Mike McCarthy as coaches.
Well, Dak was out here calling plays this week, so it might be Dak OC.
You know what else Dak was saying in interviews?
Yeah,
politely. Why the hell did they?
Dak was not happy.
No,
not happy.
He was very unhappy.
Can I say this though in defense of Kyle and John?
Yeah,
oh boy.
Sure, bro.
So here's one of the things that I think's funny, where they're overreaction because everyone's got the takes and everyone's ready to just unleash fury. Because it felt like this was building. Like we all kind of knew this was going to be the end result here, was that Trey was not going to be the guy here long term. And I've said this from the moment Brock Purdy was good at the end of last year, where I was like, that ship has sailed. He's carrying himself as QB1. He's too good. They're not going to move off this kid until he fails. And maybe they keep Trey around long enough to get another shot because Brock Purdy fizzles out, but I had a hard time believing that they were going to go back. I had a hard time believing it. Moving that aside, though, when people talk about Kyle and John, and you mentioned that Kyle is one of the best play callers in football. He's been to the Super Bowl. He's been to 3 of the last 4 NFC title games. He has hired extremely well. They have hired DCs extremely well. Offensive staff, they made great trades. Trent Williams has been a huge contributor. They add Hargrave this offseason. You drafted well. You've drafted Fred Warner. You've drafted Hufanga. You've drafted George Kittle. You've made a great trade in McCaffrey. That was a big swing, and it's worked out. You drafted Debo, and that's worked out really well. Brandon Ayuk looks like a good player. That's another good win. I mean, I think by and large, he's hit on he and this front office, Peters and company, have hit on so many other things. Bosa, obviously, being the biggest one, where it's like they have hired
not the
well.
Biggest one even remotely well.
That's,
yeah,
he was like a 3rd overall pick.
Well, no, I mean, look at Chase Young. It's gone the other way with Chase Young in Washington, and he was a better.
Chase Young shredded his entire knee.
Yeah, well, what I'm saying is like still he does like they took Nick Bosa, and Nick Bosa's been awesome. So what I'm saying is like you could have picked somebody else. You didn't have to pick Nick Bosa. You could have picked somebody else. It's not like they had to do that. But what I'm saying is like ultimately, the reason Kyle and John have a job is because they are still one of the best well-run teams and well-run organizations in the sport that missed on a quarterback who hadn't gotten really any college snaps, that we hadn't seen a lot, who was always going to be the biggest wild card. But it reminds me of like, hey, this is probably the hardest one to hit on. Like this is one of the most difficult things to nail is the franchise quarterback. And they have nailed so many other positions and so many other spots that, like, if you move on from them, that's insane because this is an insane run that they're on, and they have a dynasty. I understand no titles, but they have the NFC on lock and have had it on lock for
you want to say dynasty now. I was going to let you finish, but you said dynasty. JP, you're the youngest one here, right?
Uh-huh.
What's the name of the head coach for the Bills that lost 4 Super Bowls? Nobody else say it.
I know.
I know you know. No.
Oh.
You don't know?
I don't know.
Oh, you're telling me you don't know? He went to 4 Super Bowls. That's
Jarrett,
right.
Do you know?
No
Yes,
one.
It's Mark Levy.
Yeah.
No one knows or cares about a guy that almost did it.
I think Bills fans love him.
And
I
also,
think
I
he's
like
pretty good.
Marley Beebe.
Yeah, he was great.
We can't
No,
really
I'm
call them a
I'm
dynasty.
not talking about
because,
whether or not Bills fans like him. You're like
I
over
mean,
here.
even with
The whole
this
point. Hold on. The whole
comparison.
point of this is you cannot laud Kyle Shanahan the way that you want to do it for Andy Reid or Bill Belichick.
Wait, why not? It took Andy Reid 15 years.
We used to talk about Andy Reid like this until
way.
he got Patrick Mahomes and won a Super Bowl. When he was
And you saw how hard it was for Andy Reid to get a quarterback.
That's why they got rid of him.
I understand, but I understand that. But my point is Kyle hasn't won yet.
Yeah.
And it seems if anyone has watched Kyle with the 49ers, the common denominator for what he's going to need is a quarterback. So if you're going to trade up with 3 first-round picks to get a quarterback, maybe make sure you know what you're doing. Because if your goal is to pick a quarterback who is, of all of the ones available, the biggest project, maybe sit down for 5 minutes and go, do we have the patience for a project? What is the worst case scenario? If it takes 3 years, can we wait 3 years?
You know what should have happened? Matt Ryan should have followed Kyle immediately to San Francisco.
No,
that trade should have happened.
What should have happened is Trey Lance should have started from day one. I think the biggest thing here, first of all, multiple things can be true. This was the dumbest trade. This is the worst trade in modern NFL history.
Agreed.
Just mainly off of the fact that you traded 3 first-round picks for a guy who didn't play bad. He just didn't play. I think that's the thing that hurts the most. He did not play a game or multiple. He did not start for a whole season, whether that be because of injury or just because he was shit out of luck. He didn't play. It's the worst trade in modern NFL history. Second of all, the other thing that can be true is the Niners are probably going to be fine in the short term. That's just because of the insulation that Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch have built for this team. The biggest thing here is Kyle Shanahan has shown with the quarterbacks that he's worked with, the quarterbacks that he hasn't. He wants control. He wants to user NPC this quarterback. Trey Lance was not going to do that. I said it on Twitter when it happened. The whole timeline is so weird to me because they saw Josh Allen obliterate their team in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Where like they wanted a Josh Allen style of quarterback, someone who did not need to be Madden usered. Like you're playing Madden 23, 24, whichever one just came out. So you go and get Trey Lance, a guy that hasn't played a lot, but you sit him. The biggest reason we have Josh Allen now is because Josh Allen from 2018, who stunk at football, existed. Of course, there's no precedent for what happened with Josh Allen. You can't replicate that. But if you're going to do it, you need to let the guy play. You cannot be scared of him failing, and you cannot be scared of the offense suffering as a result of that. He's already going to have a job. He'll be fine. But the way that they've insulated this offense and the way that they've insulated this team, their belief is that, yeah, Kyle can just user NPC this quarterback all the way to a Super Bowl, which I'm questioning because Brock Purdy, I don't know if Brock Purdy can do it. I'm sorry. We saw 7 games of him, and I still don't think Brock Purdy is like, you're hitching this entire function to Brock Purdy. If you don't win a Super Bowl in this window because you hitched your wagon to Brock Purdy, it will be one of the biggest failures.
You know what the biggest problem that I have with that is too? And I understand Trey wanted a trade, right? Trade is like, get me out of here. You guys do this to me, get me out of here. I understand that. But when you have immediate data that you can go back on, you can go, Jimmy Garoppolo played an unbelievable 5 games when they first traded for him against really good teams, right? The Titans at the time, the Jaguars, etc. And they signed him, made him the highest paid quarterback in the league at that moment. Everyone thought it was a great deal. Everyone thought, and then something happened, and we all know the Jimmy G story. So how on earth do you look at what happened there and go, we need to call Brock Purdy the guy immediately?
Not only
do you know what they could have done? They literally could have done everything that they've done so far. Sign Sam Bradford, Jesus. Sam Darnold.
Yeah, I'd sign Sam Bradford.
Right?
Underrated.
They could have said, hey, we're going to make this an open competition. Open competition. And don't say a word. Don't answer questions about how everyone's doing. Just say, Brock Purdy did great last year, but we traded 3 first-round draft picks for Trey Lance, so we're going to make it an open competition. No one, Trey Lance, Brock Purdy, their agents, the fans, no one would have been like, that doesn't make sense to me. That you could have done that. And then you could have been like, Brock Purdy won week 1. And you could have let it play out.
They should have done the college football thing, Jim Harbaugh, where Jim Harbaugh plays 3 different quarterbacks to start the year, just to see, like, you get Sam gets a start, Brock gets a start, and Trey gets a start. That would be must-see television. I would love that. God, that would have been awesome. They would have been amazing.
They should have had Trey and Sam both get a full preseason game, the first 2, and then like give Brock snaps at the end. But anyways,
also, can we please cancel the preseason? As someone who just watched his team play his starters exactly 1 series, basically, great stuff all around. Glad we're doing this. Glad that that's all happening, because that was great. Enjoyed it all.
I just want to wrap it up, because I don't want to be the only reason we're talking keep talking.
This is a huge story, Evan. Like, this is a gigantic story.
But it's just
right now.
Like Kyle Shanahan made every single thing happen all on his own. He was the one that was like, Brock Purdy's the guy. He was the one that like was just saying, he cultivated this entire circumstance to the point where Trey Lance's agent is leaking that Sam Darnold's going to be QB2 and forcing a trade. Like, winning cures all, and Kyle is one of the best head coaches in the NFL. But I mean, the shit show isn't a requirement. It doesn't have to come with all this drama like it's some telenovela. Like, it's not needed. And now again, like always with Kyle Shanahan, it has to be a Super Bowl win or not, because it, again, like just like
I don't think it has to be a Super Bowl win. I just think they have to be contenders again, and have to be contenders for the next couple years.
It's not enough to do that.
No.
Why?
You're talking about something.
You want to know why?
Hold on.
Yes.
If they're going to, if the Brock Purdy experiment ends without a Super Bowl,
I think that's just hard. I don't know. Like, only one team wins. The Chiefs exist.
You want to know why it's not enough to win a Super Bowl? Not even. You know why it's not enough to make a Super Bowl? Because they've had the best defense in the league for 4 years. They've had the most talented skill position group in the NFL for damn near 2 years. And every year, it's because of the quarterback that they either don't make the Super Bowl or don't win the Super Bowl.
Remember, they didn't want to give up as much as they were supposed to give up for Tom Brady. They actively decided not to go get Tom Brady.
But can't you see from Kyle's perspective where it's like, obviously a 23 happened, but he basically
Chase, let me say this as clear as
Matt
possible.
Ryan to a Super Bowl. Almost got Jimmy Garoppolo to a Super Bowl, like an airmail. Like, he was very, very close from having Jimmy Garoppolo and Matt Ryan both winning a Super Bowl under his watch.
A Falcons fan who watched the 28-3 collapse would understand the concept of not understanding.
But it didn't fall on Matt Ryan, is what I'm saying. You can go back through. The Super Bowl loss was not on Matt Ryan at all.
Yeah, but what we're saying is the Super Bowl loss for the Niners was on the quarterback.
Yeah, I don't. But he's also got him there. It was one throw, though, right? Like, do we still say all this if he hits Emmanuel Sanders?
Congratulations.
I don't know if do you believe any of this, or are you just
congratulations?
I do believe this.
Almost making it.
Yeah.
Nobody remembers almost.
Marv Levy.
Like, you have to win. You have designed this team to win a Super Bowl now.
Yeah.
This team is talented enough to win a Super Bowl now. Every year it is win a Super Bowl. If you don't do it, like,
real quick, guys, do I take Jamar Chase, Christian McCaffrey, Austin Eckler? I have the number 3 pick.
Ooh.
Chase.
I go McCaffrey.
McCaffrey or Chase is gone, so I guess I'm taking McCaffrey.
I would go McCaffrey would scare me, but I guess I go McCaffrey.
McCaffrey scares me. Trust me.
Well, the thing with Chase is Burrow's going to be out for at least like the first 4 weeks of the season because of that calf injury.
Oh, is he going to be out 4 weeks?
Well, they said like they're playing it slow. Like they're like Jamar's like, yeah, I don't want Joe coming back unless he's 100%. And the way their schedule's set up, they can kind of coast.
Is Austin Eckler going to be as dominant as he has been? Is he still?
I don't know if they're going to check it down as much. That's the thing.
I got to take McCaffrey, don't I?
Did they take a running back in the draft this past year? I feel like they did.
No.
Didn't they add someone to that room? Who else got added to that room? It's not just Eckler anymore.
I took McCaffrey. That breaks my heart.
Well, let's change gears a little bit here. So we'll see what happens. By and large, it's fascinating. I think it's going to be funny, Niners fans being angry and also just like angrily going 13-4, and they're like, "All right, well, our season, we'll figure it out in January, whether or not this is all worth it." But a fun series that we did last week that put some jaws on the floor with Bill Belichick getting fired in the middle of the year. I thought this would be fun. Obviously, no, but what if? Part 2 here. And I think y'all like this a lot, and the listeners like this a lot. So this is a very popular segment that I wanted to bring back, and I think we start here. This is going to be a little bit different. The Titans win double-digit games. Obviously, no. But what if the Titans win double-digit games? Because we've done this before, where we've written off the Titans, we've said they're dead, and then they just keep rising from the ashes. What if Mike Vrabel, who I think is a top 5 coach in this league still, I think there's still a team that the defense is going to be top 10. I think Vrabel's a top 10 guy, or top 5 guy. He's gotten so much out of these Titans teams. I
think you're top 10. He ain't top 5.
Wait, hold on. McVay, Shanny, Tomlin, Belichick, and
I don't think he's above that. Hold on, where are we at with Belichick right now?
Don't do this.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Where are we at? The answer is 7 Super Bowls.
I just fired him in the middle of the year this year. I fired him in the middle of the season last week. I don't know.
Don't let Belichick, the GM,
like,
cloud your eyes from the fact
That's
that
fair.
Bill Belichick, the coach, is still one of, if not the best coach in the league.
That's fair. Well, I'll revise my statement. Y'all swayed me. Top 10.
I'm kind of team chase with there, because the best coach in the league has had two 7-win seasons in the last 3 years. So I'm kind of over we've been over this on this show before. So I'm team chase on that.
But obviously no. But like, if the Titans do win double-digit games, how does that change just how we look at them, and what does that mean for the rest of the AFC this year? If that's what happens, what does that mean for the Jaguars? What does that mean for some of these AFC teams? Because if they are able to pivot, Derrick Henry's healthy, that offensive line plays a little bit better than we expected. They play some Alabama murder ball, and for whatever reason, it's enough to win 10 games, 17-13, and we hate every bit of it. Ryan Tannehill plays in all 17 games. Like, I don't think it's likely, but I think there's like a 10-ish% chance that it could happen, and I think that's enough to be like, there's part of me that doesn't want to just say the Titans are going to be awful. There's just some part of me that I can't get there.
Jarrett, you should answer it since you haven't spoke yet.
I haven't. If that does happen, it's because, one, their front seven is just awesome. And we know that their front seven's awesome. I love everything about their defensive line. They're nasty. They eat dudes alive up front. It's the pass defense that everybody's concerned about, and rightfully so, because it was horrible, especially down the stretch last year. If that does happen, I think it's similar to what you pointed out. It's going to be a bunch of low-scoring, grimy, like 1960s football, where Derrick Henry looks like the Derrick Henry of old. I think Tyjae Spears would be a nice contributor for the offense a little bit.
He had a great preseason, right? Didn't he lead the preseason yards and rushing or something?
Very great preseason. Yeah. But yeah, that's what it's going to go through. It's going to run through, the offensive line gelled together. They brought in a few different pieces, and all of it seemed to work out. Derrick Henry still looks really good. And Tyjae Spears was a really nice change of pace back. They really run it through the run game, and Spears gets his carries, but is also, a threat as a receiver out of the backfield. And then Treylon Burks takes a little bit of a step forward. DeAndre Hopkins is there. He's still looking like him, at least, like 85% of the D-Hop that we know. I don't think it's completely out of the question that the Titans are still relevant for the reasons you pointed out. Vrabel's a really good coach. And their defensive front is really good. It's just, how good is this pass defense going to be? Can it take any sort of step forward from last year? And can the offense be at least good enough to grind out games like that? Because Vrabel's a defensive guy, but if your goal is to, especially in the AFC, is to limit teams to points rather than try to outscore them, you're going to lose that battle 9 times out of 10 in that conference. So they have the benefit of playing against 2 rebuilding teams. I think the Titans are kind of like a rebuilding team themselves. They just won't admit it. But in terms of the Colts and the Texans, maybe I think the Texans are going to be a little bit better than people think. They might be able to string something together where they surprise people. Do I think it'll happen? No, but is there a path to it happening? Sure.
I think Rand Carthon might just double down and be like, we're building through the middle, and we're going to play great defense. Their OC, Tim Kelly, he was with D-Hop in Houston, right? If I remember correctly, so he's reunited there. I wonder what Skoronski looks like at left guard. Andre Dillard, that's a wild card.
Good luck.
Yeah, probably not great, but you drafted a guy in the 6th round, Jalen Duncan. Maybe he slides in there. I don't know. I don't know what happens. But is there not a chance, like a healthy Derrick Henry, a healthy Tyjae Spears, a healthy Brian Tannehill, a healthy D-Hop, and then a top 10 defensive DVOA Titans team? Are we sure that's not enough in the AFC South that they win 10 games?
That's asking a lot, not only of DeAndre Hopkins to be healthy, but a 36-year-old Ryan Tannehill coming off of ankle surgery behind an offensive line that is suspect at best and will be missing their starting right tackle for the first 4 games of the season because of a gambling suspension. It's asking a lot of them.
Don't like that.
First of all, Titans can go to hell. Second of all, if that happens, something had to have drastically gone wrong for the teams they played before the bye week, because they play at New Orleans, at home against the Chargers, at the Browns, at home against the Bengals, at Indy, and then Baltimore. And that's all before the bye week. Like
there's a chance that's a 1-5 start.
They would have to like slugfest their way through all of those games for me to kind of be like, I can kind of see it. If it were to happen, like, I guess it's more of a testament to how good Mike Vrabel is as a coach and how much this Titans offense can really like get out of DeAndre Hopkins, who might not still be like the DeAndre Hopkins that we once knew.
I do want to point this out too, because we talk about the schedule, especially the first 6 games before the bye. I can see a world like New Orleans. I don't think New Orleans is going to be anything special. I think they could beat the Saints. I think the Browns, we don't know. Could they beat Cleveland? Absolutely. They slugged it out with the Bengals last year, and if Burrow's not there, I don't think that the Bengals are going to win. The Chargers. The Chargers look good.
Real quick, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, Chris Olave, Jalen Hurts, Travis Etienne.
It's either between Waddle or Olave. I would go Waddle because I think he's going to generate more explosives.
Thank you. Moving on.
But those first 6 games, like we talked about, like they would need a lot of things to go right. All 4 of those teams have a little bit of suspect to them. Like the Chargers on paper every year, we're like, oh man, the Chargers are going to be good. And then by week 7, we're like, what the fuck is wrong with the Chargers? And then the Browns, I'm not banking on anything with the Browns. If anybody is going to disappoint, and there's going to be a team in the AFC North that does, I'm banking on it being the team that sucked for the last 20 years. So can it happen? Like, yeah, it could, especially like I pointed out the Bengals. If Burrow's not there, I think Tennessee wins. I don't know about the Saints. I think Derek Carr's cool. I think that Chris Olave is good. Don't love their head coach. Defense has some guys, but I don't know, man. Saints don't. I'm not worried about the New Orleans Saints as a whole. So can they start like 4-2 and surprise some people? Yeah, and that would be best case scenario.
If they can get out of that stretch 4-2, I'd be stunned.
I would be too. I'm not saying that I think they're going to, but if all of those, or at least a few of those teams disappoint and don't look as good as many think that they will, and they kind of get a lucky roll of the dice, I think it'd be similar to the Patriots a few years ago, where they went 10-7. That wasn't a 10-7 football team. They played a lot of teams who were dealing with. They played the Titans that year when they didn't have AJ Brown, when they didn't have Julio Jones. I'm pretty sure Derrick Henry was hurt that game too. And everybody's like, oh my goodness, the New England Patriots. They've played like backup teams 3 out of the last 4 weeks. Of course they're gonna win. So I think that that's kind of their best case scenarios, being the 2021 Patriots, where they're like, oh, they got into the playoffs somehow, and then they get just boat raced wild card weekend by an actual team.
One more time, 24 seconds left. Chris Olave is still there, but Joe Mixon, Aaron Jones, Nahi are all there, and Josh Allen as well.
Oh, yeah. I'd say Olave or Josh Allen. How many quarterbacks have gone already?
Oh, Mahomes is gone.
I don't know. There's always 10 good high school
Nahi?
quarterbacks. How many teams are in this league?
Don't take a running back.
I'd say Olave.
I would lean Olave too.
I went Nahi.
Oh,
That works.
Who the hell's Nahi?
Najee Harris.
Why are you calling him Nahi?
I don't know. I think it's fancy.
it is fancy.
There you go.
JP, obviously not, but what if?
Okay, so I had a couple that I've been going back and forth on, but I'm going to go with the one that I don't think anyone else has chosen or will choose.
Okay.
What if Chris Jones does not come back for the entire season?
I like this.
What if? So for anyone who doesn't know, Chris Jones is in the middle of a holdout because he wants to be the highest paid defensive tackle in the league. He should be the highest paid defensive tackle in the league. You don't get the Chiefs defense, which I think can be very good this season without Chris Jones in the middle of that defense. He's also coming off one of the best seasons, one of the best single seasons for a defensive tackle I've ever seen. So they're in a holdout over money right now. He has said that he's willing to wait until week 8. He's willing to hold out until midway through the season, which would be very bad for the Chiefs, especially because of who they play during the first 8 weeks of the season. So, what if Chris Jones does not come back this season? How much of an impact does that have not only on the Chiefs, but the AFC title picture?
I love this one. I love it a lot. I think if that does happen, we're going to see the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes and the offense revert back to 2021, where they're struggling to win games in the first half of the year. Mahomes isn't as, picking apart defenses as we saw in 2022. He's playing a lot of hero ball because, you might be a little bit higher on the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs defense has guys. Don't get me wrong. I like Willie Gay. I like Nick Bolton. I think both of them are really good. That young secondary really outperformed what anybody expected them to do, especially in the playoffs last year. However, I think a lot of what that defense does and a lot of their success is because 95 is getting doubled inside and he's still making an impact. And you take Chris Jones off that defense, the defense is going to be worse. They're going to allow more points. And I think we're going to see Patrick Mahomes, say, all right, fuck it, we're going to have to score here or else we're not going to win. And that's going to lead to, like I said, similar to what we saw in 21, where Mahomes doesn't look as good. The offense isn't as efficient, and it's going to cost them some ball games. If he's not there throughout, let's say, if he's not there in the playoffs for whatever reason, they're not getting the AFC title. They're not getting to the Super Bowl. They need him to. He's the second most important player on that team.
Also, within the context of this, their schedule opens up very brutal for a team that is going to be missing a star defensive tackle. They open up with Detroit, who will run the piss out of the football. Then they play the Jaguars, who will run the piss out of the football. Then they play the Bears, who really want to run the piss out of the football. Then they go to New York to play the Jets. Then the Vikings. Then they play the Broncos twice, who have shown they just do not want Russ to throw the football. They're going to run the football a lot.
They'll run the Navy offense. They don't care.
Then in between the Denver games, they play the Chargers, and then they play Miami. You're going to need 95.
There's not an easy game in there. Maybe Chicago, but
you need Chris Jones in the middle of that defense, especially for that stretch of games.
And the thing about that, too, is Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes both took less money than they would have made elsewhere for situations like this to give Chris Jones the money he deserves. And he's saying he wants $30 million a year. He's worth that. Give him his money.
I wrote a story for SB Nation, shameless plug, but Chiefs fans kind of got mad at me for saying they should give Chris Jones whatever he wants.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, well, what happens if Chris Jones is bad and you have to pay all the other good players on this defense? I'm like, dude,
here's the thing.
None of those guys are good unless Chris Jones plays well. And especially the secondary is young. They're on rookie deals. Mm-hmm. The only guys that are really going to be coming up for contracts are L'Jarius Sneed, Nick Bolton, and Willie Gay.
None of them are garnering ginormous money either. It would be respectable money, but
Nick Bolton and Willie Gay aren't guaranteed to be re-signed by the Chiefs. They just drafted Leo Chenal. So there's no reason for you not to pay Chris Jones. I get he's going to be 30. He's coming off the best season of his career. This is a no-brainer that I think the Chiefs are kind of latching on to and holding out for.
Is the money crazy? Do we not think there is something more why, if you had to guess what the issue is in the Chiefs front office, why they haven't done it yet? What is the best possible, the best possible reason that you could come up with on their behalf?
I think it's the guaranteed money. Not the true,
Would you
like,
share
yearly
that
salary.
sentiment?
No, not at all. Like I said, blank check, sign here, get it done. Without a second thought.
If he missed 8 games, though, is that a blessing in disguise where he just doesn't have the wear and tear and they survive without him and then he comes back after they get the deal done and you just have a fully ready to go Chris Jones for the back half of your schedule?
I get where you're going with this, but this is also assuming, one, the Chiefs survive that stretch.
Yeah.
Like, again, even before, like, week 9, he's coming back against Miami. So you have to play Denver twice, the Chargers. You're on the road in New York and Minnesota and Jacksonville, and then you play Detroit and Chicago. Like I said, all those teams outside of, like, Minnesota really want to run the crap out of the football. And if the Chiefs starters look anything like they did in the preseason, which, yes, I know it's preseason, it might be a little bit of a problem.
I'll say this. I don't think the Chiefs, if they're without Chris Jones, are not going to go like 2-6.
Yeah, it's not going to be like catastrophic.
At worst, I think they're like 5-3. Everybody's asking the same questions they did in 21. We're like, oh my goodness, are the Chiefs regressing? And they still made it to deep in the playoffs of the AFC title game. As long as they got Andy Reid, a good offensive line, and Mahomes, they'll be fine. It's just a matter of once they get deeper into the season, once you get in the boat, you need 95. And if they don't have him, I don't think they get back to a Super Bowl.
Especially in an AFC that now has like the murderer's row of quarterbacks. So if you make the playoffs and like, let's assume that they don't get the 1 seed, they don't get home field advantage because Chris Jones missed too many games.
Right.
That means you're playing the wild card against, your two. I know that he's not one of the top quarterbacks, but you're gonna have to face the Dolphins offense again, maybe.
Yeah.
You might have to face Justin Herbert, which
you might have to face the Jets.
You might have to face the Jets and Aaron Rodgers. Any of the AFC North teams.
Yeah.
Look, man, it's not going to be an easy stretch. And for the Chiefs, kind of like the 49ers, this is not just about winning in the regular season. This is about Super Bowls. And you don't win a Super Bowl without Chris Jones.
Final thing on this, though. What is the last who's the comp? Who was the last star defensive tackle like Chris Jones who has moved at this point in their career? Do we have a recent comp or no?
To be traded?
Yeah.
Like defensive player or defensive tackle? Or like defensive tackle. Lineman? I was going to say like...
maybe
like
Edge. We can throw Edge in there.
I was going to say Khalil Mack wasn't quite 30 yet, I don't think. He's still...
Would he go for more or less than Khalil Mack right now?
More.
Interesting.
I don't know.
Actually, I think it's about equal, actually.
I'd have to look for what all he went for, but
I know if I were 31 other teams and they make Chris Jones available for a trade, I would trade everything.
I'd get Omar. I would go down to the south side of Pittsburgh tonight, get an Omar Khan's office, and I will make the trade myself.
Imagine week 2, instead of the Jaguars having to face Chris Jones, now you have Chris Jones.
Oh, wow.
It'd
you already
be
have
like,
Chris Jones. You got Trayvon Walker. That's why you drafted number 1 overall. He can play anywhere on the defensive line. He's the game wrecker.
Not the same. There's levels to this.
JP's fantasy booking.
Not exactly. This is like when Big Show ripped off his shirt in
and he's extreme now.
And he's like he's got ECW on. This is exactly what this is.
He likes grunge music and jean shorts now because he's extreme.
I love that. Jarrett.
Yeah.
Obviously not. But what if?
Yeah, I hate to harp too much more on Trey Lance, but it's been racing in my mind. This is a twofer, okay? So stick with me. So, and I don't want this first one to like necessarily happen. So it's just like, let's say Dak Prescott gets hurt. Knock on wood.
Oh,
we don't
no.
want that to happen. Trey Lance looks fantastic. And they go on a Nick Foles-esque run. Trey Lance and the Cowboys win a Super Bowl.
Oh my God, Evan!
I'm not done.
Oh God!
And now you're the Dallas Cowboys. You're like, all right, well, we paid Dak a lot of money, but right now we got Trey Lance on a rookie deal. If we can find a team that would accept the majority of this contract, where we don't have to eat so much dead money, we'll be all right. The Arizona Cardinals just hired Ben Johnson as their head coach after an awful season. They're looking to move off of, hey, They got a lot of money. They can go all in right now. They trade for Dak Prescott. Ben
Where does
Johnson,
Kyler go in this scenario?
Kyler Murray is now in Minnesota with the Vikings after Kirk Cousins went to the San Francisco 49ers because the 49ers had it was fine. You know, they didn't win the Super Bowl, but they realized, maybe Brock Purdy's not the guy.
Mm-hmm.
So the big part of this right now is that what if Trey Lance, sort of Dak Prescott's Dak Prescott, because remember, Dak got in because of a Tony Romo injury and nobody expected him to be good. What if?
So Dak has a $61 million cap hit this year. That is astronomical for any team to kind of care to put on their books.
That was the dead money for Matt Ryan. I'm pretty sure it was very close to that.
That's a lot of money, man.
I think Matt Ryan's was like 58 million or something like that. Just something absurd.
That is a lot of money. That's a lot of money that's going to be thrown around. In your scenario, do the Cardinals finish with the number 1 pick, or
it doesn't even have to be the Cardinals? For some reason, I just wanted to pair Ben Johnson with Dak Prescott. So
okay, because I was going to say, if you're choosing between Kyler, and first overall pick, that might
I'm
be
taking
like
Caleb Williams. Yeah, I get
that
it.
might be one of the most like insane choices for any franchise.
He can go wherever you want in his mind. I just wanted him with Ben Johnson. So I mean, he could go, like, if Geno underperforms, he can go to Seattle. He can go to Minnesota if once the 49ers get Kirk Cousins, or he goes elsewhere. Put him with Kevin O'Connell. So the point is, Dak Prescott will be moved to a team of your choosing.
What if the Niners and the Cowboys do a little switcheroo?
Yo,
Evan,
just do a little
Evan, would you not love Dak in a Niners uniform? You would love that.
No, I wouldn't.
That would.
Would you really not?
Hilarious.
How would you not enjoy it?
Because I
elite defense, top 10 quarterback.
Listen, in theory, yes, of course. But when you're a Niners fan and you know that everything will go wrong, no, because then everything goes wrong with Dak Prescott, and that's just not something I'm willing to do.
It would be
double negative, maybe 2 negatives make a positive.
That is true.
So
People
funny.
forget that.
So
the Niners did like the worst trade and worst draft selection in modern NFL history and fell ass backwards into Dak Prescott.
Wouldn't that be hilarious?
But hold on though, real quick. Cooper Rush is the backup.
I mean, you're not going Cooper Rush there.
Especially like
Trey Lance.
Okay,
Cooper Rush. How many games did they win last year with Cooper Rush?
He played like ass, and the team played well around him.
Did he throw 20 total passes?
Listen to me. Okay. They have Cooper Rush in there for a game. And
do you think
sucks,
so? I'm telling you this.
Do
you think that Trey Lance is going to be QB2
at some point?
I mean, they played last year and won games with him, regardless of whatever. Like, I don't even know if Trey Lance, if Dak gets injured, he would. I don't know if he sees the.
If it makes this feel better for you, let's say they turn to Cooper Rush in that first game where Dak is injured and he just looks god awful, and everybody at that point are like, okay, we traded a 4th round effing pick for Trey Lance. Why not use him after Cooper Rush just threw like 3 picks and they get blown out by 3 touchdowns?
This is why you had the emergency quarterback thing, where the quarterback can like dress out and you don't have to use an active roster spot for this situation. This is why the Cowboys did that trade. You can dress out Cooper Rush or Trey Lance, whoever you make QB3, and he's the break glass in case of emergency.
Can you imagine Cooper Rush is like guiding them? Like Dak goes down at some point, and then Cooper is like at the end, and he's like supposed to start the first playoff game at home, and then he goes down, or he's just bad, and they're just like, all right, we're turning to like it's a playoff game. We have to win or lose. Like we gotta. Trey, good luck. Here's your Brock Purdy moment with against the Dolphins from last year. Moment? You're getting thrown into the fire. Let's see how you do.
Dude, what if they give him a QB rushing package on the first drive, just like Kyle did?
They give him
just the funniest middle finger to Kyle Shanahan. Just Trey Lance scores on a rushing touchdown, and just NFL Twitter explodes.
What if? Oh man, even better. What if? Okay, let's say Dak goes down the week before the Niners game, and the
Oh,
49ers
no.
are just beating the piss out. Not even beating the piss, but like they're up by, let's say, 13 to 3 at halftime. They pull Cooper. Trey Lance leads them on a comeback win. Is that game in San Fran?
Let's look it up.
I
Let's look it
I
up.
think
Please,
maybe.
God in heaven, be
I'm pretty
in
sure
I
it
feel like it's in
is.
Dallas.
That's unfortunate.
I
The
feel like it's in
Niners
Dallas.
game is in San Francisco.
Oh, it is in
Week
San
8.
Francisco. There you go.
It's
It's
a
a
Sunday
primetime
night
game.
football
A
game.
second half comeback in Levi's on Sunday Night Football. Trey Lance gets thrown in the second half, leads the Cowboys to a comeback win against the 49ers in prime time. How hilarious would that
I
be?
mean,
I'd be
it's just
convinced that the NFL is scripted.
even for this segment, it's so unlikely.
Can I also
listen,
say that Jerry sees Dak as family? I was going back through because I remember one of those things you file away is you listen to how owners talk about guys.
Right.
The way Arthur Blank talked about Matt Ryan and even Michael Vick way back in the day, he was so hurt by the Michael Vick situation and how that ended and how loyal he was to Matt Ryan. I think Jerry is like that to his quarterbacks. I think he is extremely loyal. And when it says he sees Dak like a family member, I think he does. And I think even if Trey balled out and did stuff, I think he would still lead with Dak.
So, counterpoint. Mike McCarthy has always wanted to develop young quarterbacks. And Jerry Jones specifically said during the pandemic in 2020, they were in on a certain Philadelphia Eagles quarterback who he did not mention, and they wanted to draft. He was also one of the guys that they had on their virtual pre-draft visits. They've always wanted a project quarterback. This is Mike McCarthy. You can go way back through Mike McCarthy's history. He has always wanted a project quarterback, a quarterback who he can work with and develop to take over the torch when the old quarterback goes to the Jets or something. So that's what Trey Lance is. Trey Lance is essentially and I'm not saying this is they're 1-to-1 in terms of player. This is not the same player. I'm just saying situation. Trey Lance is basically the Dallas Mike McCarthy version of Aaron Rodgers. That's what's happening here. That he is. I don't think they did this. I don't think they did the selection, but he's their Jordan Love, and that's the same. It's the same kind of situation.
He feels more Zach to me than Jordan Love. We're Zach, we saw a little bit and it was bad.
Zach, we saw
and
an
saw the
entire
talent.
season of.
Yeah,
that's true.
We haven't seen an entire season of Trey Lance.
I would just bet against both at this point. I would say probably these stories usually don't end well. Maybe it does. Probably not. But I don't
just know
we'll
that
see.
I need that to happen on Sunday night because everything would just insert me as the laughing Woody gif with fire around him. I just want the chaos. Would love it.
Evan, obviously not. Obviously not. But what if
all I want to do is just talk about Trey Lance, but we've basically done that 3 times. It's the only thing I can think of. I've sat here and watched Alex
the Christmas tree.
No, I'm just saying I sat out here and I watched Alex Smith have his end be Alex Smith is terrible, Alex Smith is trash, for all those years, and then he did well with Harbaugh, and then did really well with Andy Reid. The opposite happened with Cap. The only thing I want Trey Lance to get a chance. So, obviously, that's what I was going to say. Obviously not. But what if Dak Prescott not only gets injured? What Jarrett talked about is exciting. But, what if Trey Lance becomes the QB of Dallas for the very long future? What if this all ends with Trey Lance being the face of the franchise for the 49ers' biggest rivalry for the last 50 years? I don't know if I could handle every single game, Cowboys having winning seasons, Cowboys winning playoff games with Trey Lance. And what if Brock Purdy ends up being the quarterback that every single team passed on 7 times?
By this point, it won't be Brock Purdy on the center for the Niners. It'll be you know those quarterbacks who didn't have names on NCAA 14.
Oh, it'll be Daddy Darnold.
I was going to say Brandon Allen.
God. Why? By the way, Kyle Shanahan loves Brandon Allen too.
Great deep ball.
Toy Story 4. He loves trash.
This would be this would be like the only scenario where I would kind of want the Cowboys to like win a Super Bowl, just because I want to just. I think Kyle Shanahan always has.
I mean,
to be
they
the smartest guy in
can.
the room.
They're one of the 5-6 best teams in football this year.
Okay, let's just chill. They are the Cowboys.
This is the only scenario where I would like relish in a Cowboys Super Bowl win, just to like see it all.
Why does no one want Dak to be happy and succeed? Let Dak be great.
We don't.
I like Dak.
I have no issue with Dak. It's just he throws a lot of interceptions last year.
He might not this year. He did before last year.
The Cowboys are the Cowboys, man. Everyone hates the Cowboys. Figure it out. What do you mean? Why is this confusing to you? It's the Cowboys. They never win playoff games. The Niners.
All right. Well, Sam Darnold's the most talented quarterback Kyle Shanahan's actually ever had.
The greatest arm.
In
49ers history.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Right?
It really wouldn't. He was a top 10 draft pick. Like,
people thought he was going to go number 1 overall. Remember, his family sitting in the stands with Jimmy Haslam in the cold during his pro day. Like, he was supposed to go number 1 overall. People, like, he was the quote unquote most talented quarterback in that class. It wasn't that long ago. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if Sam Darnold is the quarterback for the Niners in a Super Bowl this upcoming year. That wouldn't surprise me at all.
I would not want that, because as talented as we said Sam Darnold is, he has one major problem, and he cannot A, read the field, B, feel pressure, and C, do anything well when under pressure.
Yeah, so, but Kyle and him wear the same flip-flops and Ruka shirts, and because of that, he loves him.
Exactly.
They're boys for life.
He's going to throw for like 5 touchdowns against the Cardinals, and it's just going to completely destroy my brain.
By the way, I dashed to FanDuel to bet a lot of money on the Commanders in week 1.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Wait, who do the Commanders have in week 1?
The Cardinals.
Can I just say real quick, before the end of the Kyle Shanahan situation, Kyle Shanahan was in a position to have a black quarterback in Colin Kaepernick, and he said no and brought in Brock Purdy, one of the whitest, or not Brock Purdy, Brian Hoyer, one of the whitest people you've ever seen in your life. And then again, he finally is forced to have a black QB, and he immediately gets rid of him and then brings in Brandon Allen and Sam Darnold, the whitest QBs you've ever seen in your life. I'm just saying that maybe we should take a look at who Kyle's voting for. I just want to know. I want to see his voting records.
Oh my God.
Where was Kyle Shanahan January?
Where was Kyle Shanahan on January 6th?
He was drawing up the plays.
I've never, like, it's amazing. Like,
Kyle Shanahan's a big Lil Wayne fan. What are you talking about?
That's like saying I voted for Obama twice.
What? Okay.
Oh, does that not clear him?
No. Skip Bayless is a Lil Wayne fan. Congratulations.
I just want to know.
He has been to a lot of parties with Steady Mobbin playing and did not leave.
6 foot, 7 foot, 8 foot punch, baby.
God, so many parties.
Very underrated.
Underrated
Lil Wayne song. 6
I don't want to hear Kyle Shanahan rap that. I don't want to hear him do that.
Excuse my charisma.
Yeah, that would not be good. JP, of course not. Obviously not. But what if?
What if Deshaun Watson's bad again?
Oh,
I like it.
What if he's bad? I don't think he's going to be bad again. I don't think so. I think the Browns offense is very talented. They have a lot of things going well for them. But what if Deshaun Watson just cannot find the same thing? What if it just isn't working and the Browns paid $230 million fully guaranteed for another lost season? What do you do at this point? As a Browns fan, are you just kind of like accustomed to the pain, or like does this one hurt a little more because you traded multiple first round picks and gave him at the time and still the only fully guaranteed contract in NFL history, and now you're sitting here for 6 years? You got to see him play.
All like jokes aside and everything, and anything that we can say about Deshaun Watson, I don't think that he's god awful. I'm wondering if this is just like I think that Stefanski is a good offensive mind, and I think he's a good play designer. What if this is just a situation where you've got a solid quarterback, a good coach and play designer? For some reason, they just don't gel. Like, he just doesn't fit in what Stefanski runs. I think that's very possible. And if what you're saying does happen, they aren't going to get rid of Deshaun Watson. They're getting rid of Stefanski. So maybe they find somebody with an offense that is more akin to what Deshaun Watson's used to and more comfortable in. And maybe 2024, Cleveland, cross your fingers. But I think that if it's a Deshaun Watson problem, it's not going to matter because he's not going to be the one who takes the fall for it. It's going to be the head coach, not the $230 million quarterback.
It's just going to be very weird because, like you said, I think the Browns' offense is actually going to look kind of fun this year.
I think their entire team is so good.
I think they're good. They're a talented team, but none of that will matter unless the quarterback plays well. And the last time we saw a full season of Deshaun Watson, he was one of the best quarterbacks in the league. The Texans,
that was 3 years ago now.
The Texans stunk, but it was 3 years ago. I don't know, man. There's obviously he's not going to be god awful like he was last year. But what if he is? Like, it just, I don't know. You got a lot of questions to ask yourself.
3 years ago, we were all watching The Last Dance, pretending like it was happening in real time. Tiger King was being talked about. Celebrities were singing for some reason over Zoom and making that weird video. That was a long time ago, man. I don't know. I think that anybody like penciling in Watson to be really good, I think that's a mistake just because of how long it's been since we've seen that Deshaun Watson. It could just be that he's just not that guy anymore.
Can the Browns be great if he's the 20th best quarterback in the NFL this year?
I don't know if they can be great.
I don't think it's going to be enough, especially in the AFC where like everybody's pretty much good. Yeah. I don't know if 20th best quarterback is going to get you.
They can be playoffs. They can be relevant and like in the hunt, but they can't do anything.
They need him to be league average or above. And I think he's going to be league average or above. I think
who would you bet on more right now, Wilson or Watson, to have a better year?
Watson.
Are we talking about Russell Wilson?
Yeah, Russell Wilson. Or
I'm betting on Deshaun Watson.
Okay. Even with the Echo, like, would you can throw in the Sean Payton part of all this, and unfortunately for Russell Wilson, the Broncos are the most cursed wide receiver organization on the planet. Like, if you're a receiver and you're drafted by the Broncos next year, ask for a trade. You need to go Eli Manning it. Like, it's probably not going to go well
next week. I've got a tryout in Denver next week.
I'll still take Deshaun Watson.
Turn that down, Jarrett.
I think Deshaun. I think I'm betting more on Deshaun being good with the Browns and Russ being good with the Broncos, mainly because Russ is like, what, 35? Or he's up there in age. I don't know if he's 35.
I think he is 35.
I think he's 34, 33.
He is 34, but he turns 35 this year.
Okay.
In November, he turns 35.
He's going to be 35. He's 34, 35 years old.
Yeah.
Deshaun is what? Like, he's like 26, 27?
He's got to be older than that. Because Lawrence started 4 years. He's got to be 30. Oh, no, he turns 28. Okay.
28.
He's 28.
Okay.
28. I'm betting on the younger guy.
Yeah.
I can agree with that. Yeah.
But when you look at the AFC North, among those four, a healthy Lamar, a healthy Deshaun, a healthy Kenny Pickett for 17 games, and then a healthy Joe Burrow. What does that mean? Like, how does it shake out in that scenario?
I'll tell you this: the Browns have a higher ceiling than the Ravens. They have a lower floor, but they have a higher ceiling.
I don't think the ceiling is higher. I don't think the ceiling is higher.
JP, their roster is so much better than Baltimore's.
I don't think it's that much better.
I really do. I really think 1 to 53, I would handedly take the Browns roster over the Ravens.
I don't think it's that much better.
Well, let me state my case real quick. In terms of the Ravens, I think that they have a better chance of disappointing, maybe more than the Browns, because it's not a Lamar thing. I think he's very good. I don't trust any of their important offensive players to stay healthy all year. Odell, I'm not banking on him to stay healthy. J.K. Dobbins, not banking on that. And even then, J.K. Dobbins doesn't move the needle. You can put just about any running back there. They have shown, and they will succeed. It's a new offense. We'll see the new offense. We don't know how Todd Monken's system is going to look in Baltimore. Not banking on Rashad Bateman to stay healthy. He's already struggling with that. Lamar, is he going to finish the season? Defensively, they're already banged up in the secondary. Outside of Roquan Smith, I don't love their linebacking core. Odafe always a dude right now. Their fronts, like their defensive line is fine, but Baltimore, they don't scare me as a team, man.
I think you should be. I think the Ravens are going to be really, really good this year.
I
think
don't know, man.
I'm all in on Todd Monken in this offense, how it looks, how it's schemed up, especially
Just
if
all
it-
in on Todd Monken leaving the
if it's-
University of Georgia. That's been my
I
favorite
mean,
offseason development.
he-
Mike Bobo back in there. Love that.
He's been whooping the Volunteers' ass for too long. He need to go get
That's what
paid
I'm
to
saying. I'm agreeing with you, JP. Him out of here. I'm here for it.
So I really do like how his offense is schemed, how it's structured. Even at Georgia, they were running NFL condensed sets, NFL structures. And now you have actual NFL players with a former unanimous MVP at quarterback who is
We need to stop bringing that up when we talk about Lamar Jackson. Man.
No.
It's been 5 years.
No, I don't care. I do not care.
5
Do
years,
not
JP.
care. Unanimous.
Rich Gannon won an MVP too.
Nobody else has gotten unanimous.
It was 5 years ago.
Unanimous MVP.
Was it really 5 years ago?
And
Has it been that long?
Okay, sure. We don't have to bring that up. Even before he was injured, he was playing at an MVP level.
Oh, he looked great.
With
He looked great.
garbage offensive room and
This isn't a
calling.
Lamar
Now
thing,
you-
man.
But what I'm saying is, I'm trusting not only the better quarterback. I think their receiver room extremely talented.
Love
I
Zay
don't
Flowers.
I don't even think you can trust the Browns offense to stay like healthy for a full year. I think Jedrick Wills very much still a question mark at left tackle.
Sure.
You don't know who's going to step up at receiver outside of Amari Cooper. I mean, if you like Elijah Moore, I think he's going to be cool. I think he's going to be the
he'll be
slot
good.
only.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a slot only guy. I don't have much faith in Donovan Peoples-Jones. I think he's kind of just a guy. I like David Njoku.
For some reason, I think that he'll surprise people just because if you go back to like the last 6 games of last year, him and Watson seem to have clicked in some level. Maybe that carries over.
But even then, like defensively, love that they brought in Jim Schwartz.
Yeah.
Outside Dalvin Tomlinson, I still wonder how they're going to stop the run. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, he's cool, linebacker. Don't like anybody else that they have, especially when they have to play teams that are going to physically run the ball at them. And their secondary can't stay healthy. Denzel Ward is dealing with another concussion, which is very scary. I think this is like 4 concussions, like since he's been in the NFL. Very scary. Greg Newsome is kind of slot, kind of corner. You don't really know what he's doing. They signed Juan Thornhill, which I think is cool, but they also have a lot of question marks. And I also think that very quietly, the Ravens had one of the best defenses in the league last year once they added Roquan Smith. And Mike McDonald is awesome, an awesome coordinator. I'm all in on this Ravens team. I think this team is going to be really, really good. Especially, if Burrow is out for those first 4 games, like maybe the Ravens hop out to a lead that the Bengals can't catch in the AFC North. And if we're asking, going back to the original question of who we trust more in that division between healthy Lamar, healthy Burrow, healthy Watson, healthy Kenny Pickett.
Hold on. I need you guys real quick.
Okay, go for it.
Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, Brock Purdy, or Goff?
Tua.
Ooh.
Yeah.
No,
I
I
do
would go
have
Aaron
Waddle.
Rodgers. I would go Rodgers.
It's okay. I have Waddle, so I took him.
You took who?
Tua.
Do we
That
believe
offense-
Tua's playing
I
17
hope he d-
games?
I hope not. I hope he does. But you're not. I mean, I'm terrified.
I mean,
By the way, I auto drafted Pat Fryermuth.
Get ready for
the
those
Steelers.
Get ready for those 6-yard outs, baby.
Really not
6-yard
excited.
outs and 6-yard curls.
Darnell would be a
Intermediate
fun
curls
lead.
are gonna be
I don't know
great.
how early Darnell Washington's going, but he would be someone I would stash.
Darnell
pretty early.
Washington is not going to be a good fantasy football player.
He's going to be a good me player.
He's going to be a very good
A good
football
JP player. He's going to be in
Yeah.
blogs.
He's gonna-
I'm going to write
he's
about Darnell
yes.
Washington.
He's going to eat people, but he's not going to be a fantasy football guy.
Darnell
Yeah.
Washington, big blog guy.
But yeah, in terms of quarterbacks, I would say I'd rank them Burrow, Lamar, Deshaun, Pickett.
At their absolute best, yeah. Like if they all reach whatever their current ceilings as they are viewed are right now, yeah, I would agree. I think Pickett's going to have a better year than Deshaun Watson personally. But in terms of everybody at their absolute peak right now, yes, I would agree.
I'm excited for it's gonna be tough to. Can you say Pickett to Pickens fast? That's tough because
gonna be
there's
fun,
gonna be a
man.
good connection there.
You don't have to
Of course.
don't have to create separation where you can just dunk on everybody.
Of course not, but what if the Steelers are the number 1 seed?
Oh wow. Okay, Jarrett. Is that your final one here? What if the Steelers are the number 1 seed in the AFC?
I don't think it's impossible.
Hold on. make the case. I obviously not. But what if the Pittsburgh Steelers are the number 1 seed in the AFC, Jarrett Bailey?
Of course not. But let me give you their schedule because it is a daffodil. All right, so they start off against San Fran at home. I think they win that game.
Ooh.
Then they play Cleveland on Monday night at home. I think they're going to split games with the Browns. They play the Raiders on the road. They're going to lose to the Raiders. They haven't beaten the Raiders on the road since 1995. They are not good against the Raiders.
Wait, really?
They suck against the Raiders. I don't know why. They are. I would bet my life they are losing that game. A game they shouldn't lose, and it's in the first quarter of the season.
That's so random.
As a Steelers fan, I know they will lose one of their first 4 games that they absolutely should not lose. The Raiders will be that game. Then they play against Houston. I think the Texans will give them a fight. I think the Steelers will win. So worst case scenario, 2-2, 3-1. I think they'll be through the first 4. They play Baltimore, then the Rams, the Jaguars. They'll lose to Jacksonville. The Titans, the Packers, the Browns again. They don't play Cincinnati for the first time till November. And then they play the Cardinals, the Patriots, the Colts, the Bengals again. Close out Seattle and Baltimore. I think that's.
How do you not do Steelers Bengals until November?
Because that's when the games actually matter.
Yeah, when they get cold and they hurt and they're painful and they're fun to watch.
That's real AFC North football, right?
That's AFC North football, buddy.
Yeah.
So I think that
would be funny though if they just saved all the divisional games until November. They just only divisional games the final back half of the schedule.
Like college football.
I mean, yeah, a little bit.
So
that's what we want to see anyway. We all want to see them in the cold. We want to see Baltimore, Pittsburgh in December. We don't want to see it in September.
My first game-by-game predictions, I think I did like what
was the record there, by the way, in this scenario?
So, yeah, I'm getting to it. My first game-by-game after free agency, I think I had them going. Their total absolute peak was 12-5. I think if everything goes,
that's not a number 1 seed though. I don't think.
I'm set. That's my personal. Could they surprise everybody and maybe go a 13-4 and maybe the AFC though at 12-5? There's going to be a lot of people beating up on each other in the AFC. Maybe that's good enough just because there's going to be a lot of self-deprecation to teams in the AFC to be a number 1 seed. I don't think it's impossible with the offense looks. I know it's just preseason. We say that a lot. Take it with a grain of salt. 5 drives, 5 touchdowns. It looks like they're letting Kenny Pickett push the ball downfield more. Against your Atlanta Falcons, they had completions of 33 and 35.
Oh, hold on. The Falcons, I was lining up at corner in that game against the Steelers. Let's calm it down. They didn't play anybody.
Did I not just say it was the preseason? Take it with a grain of salt.
Well, not even just that. I'm saying it's even further. Like the Falcons, punted all together. Like Tomlin played his starters, and we were all week, all Falcons fans were like, "Oh, this is gonna be fun." Tomlin's doing it. There's like a little agreement that the Falcons are gonna try, and they're gonna take it seriously for a quarter. We're gonna see Dez versus Pickett. We're gonna see some Kyle Pitts action. No, not at all. Nobody played.
The only reason I bring that up is because I cannot remember the last time the Steelers had 2 completions of 30-plus yards on the same drive, or if they let their quarterback throw the ball 30-plus yards.
Oh, that'd be
on
nice because I'm not going to see any of that this year.
So that's the only reason I bring it up.
The Falcons haven't been serious about anything football related.
Okay, that was unnecessary. Jarrett, back to you.
So when you look at the improvements that they've made, especially on the offensive line on the left side of the ball, Dan Moore, it looks like Dan Moore is going to start off the season as the starting left tackle. He had a really nice camp and a really nice preseason. They're not going to rush Broderick Jones, who's still kind of fixing things in pass pro. He got better throughout the preseason, but they're not going to rush it. Isaac Samalo at left guard, maybe the most underrated signing of the offseason because the Steelers ran the ball to the left side the 24th amount of times in the NFL. One of the reasons that they stunk at running the ball a lot last year is, Najee Harris was dealing with a toe, but everybody knew they weren't going to go to the left side because they stunk at it. So gives them more diversity in the run game. Darnell Washington on that left side is where he's predominantly going to be with Freiermuth on the right. They're going to run the ball a little bit more than people expect, and they got a lot of mouths in that offense. Deontay Johnson, really good at gaining natural separation. George Pickens doesn't need to get natural separation because he's going to moss you at least twice a game. Freiermuth at tight end, Jalen Warren spelling Najee Harris. Defensively, they somehow got better. Still got the usual suspects of Watt, Hayward, Fitzpatrick. Nick Herbig's going to rotate in as an edge rusher. Pat Peterson is I think he's still got a year of really solid football in him. Levi Wallace is quietly a really good CB2. Joey Porter will rotate in. They're not going to rush him either. The middle of their defense, off-ball linebackers, Quan Alexander, Landon Roberts, Cole Holcomb. This is a very well-built team that doesn't really have any glaring needs outside of maybe nickel cornerback, because I don't know if I love Shannon Sullivan. Elijah Riley was a guy who played himself onto the roster. That is really my only glaring hole for the Steelers. I think that Pickett has shown enough where I think he'll take, I don't think he's going to be elite, but can he do like a 23 touchdown, 10 pick season? Yeah. I think that they have all the potential in the world to be a really good team this year.
I love the optimism.
So before I go full hater, I get it. I think the Steelers are going to be much improved this year. Is 23 touchdowns, 10 interceptions going to be enough to get you a 1 seed?
Oh. So in terms of the 1 seed, do I think that would be, I guess we are talking in case of the 1 seed. Their defense would have to be damn good.
The defense would have to go nuclear.
Absolutely. That would have to be 08 Steelers like type of defense if they want to get the 1 seed.
And this is also like,
or hear me out, or like Jalen Warren and Najee Harris become like Ahmad Bradshaw and Brandon Jacobs and both run for 1K apiece. That's the only other scenario I see that, and I don't see that happening.
I just don't trust that. I don't trust Kenny Pickett enough yet to be like, yeah, I can see that, especially in the AFC where like you're gonna have to wrestle that number 1 seed away from the Chiefs, and they don't give that up easily.
If Ryan Tannehill can do it, I think that the Steelers can do it.
Derrick Henry ran for 2,000 yards.
That's fine. He didn't run for 2K that year.
Sure. Anyway, I don't trust it. Don't trust it.
I don't think it's going to happen. I'm just saying, is there a chance? Yeah. I think they're gonna. They're gonna win the AFC North. I'll put my name on that. I'll keep putting my name on that.
Ooh.
I've put my name on that. Haven't I said that yet on this show?
No.
Said it on every other show. Oh,
we haven't done our predictions yet, but I guess
there's a
well, next week is our predictions. Next week is our prediction show before the regular season gets started here.
I've been putting my name on that all off season in terms of absolutely. Ooh. That is maybe my hotter take of the offseason, but yeah, Steelers.
And I thought my Falcons are coasting to a 12-5 NFC South championship.
I think that's a little bit hotter, but
both y'all are going to hell for that. But let's
I'll come back.
JP gets a Trevor Lawrence and just thinks the world revolves around Jacksonville. You get yourself a franchise quarterback, and then it's just all these plebeians out here not serious franchises.
You should try having one post 2018.
I would like to have one again.
You know, maybe you should try. It's great. It's fun. It's awesome having that kind of quarterback.
I will say this too: the majority of like breakout quarterbacks, Mahomes in his second year, Joey B, coming Lamar, they were all in their year 2. Kenny Pickett is going into year 2. I'm not saying there's really any correlation to that, but I'm also not saying there's not any correlation to that.
Also, they still employ Matt Canada.
They do.
That's still a major.
Of course not. But what if Matt Canada's awesome and we're all wrong?
That is the big what if here. What if Matt Canada just decides to become Bill Walsh reincarnated?
Hey,
I don't know.
You never know. You never know.
I guess you never know.
JP, what can the good folks check out from you and the team over at SBNation.com this week?
So we're going to have a bunch of college football stuff going up. Week 1 of the college football season is officially here. One of my good buddies, one of my co-writers, Mark Schofield, is going to have a piece going up about Drake May. I got something cooking up about a certain Duke quarterback who I think is probably going to be very good and probably is QB3 entering the NFL draft this year. So that should be fun. That's going to be something you should look out for. Other than that, just going to be watching film, see what I'm doing, watch what I'm doing. Maybe I'll post some more Plankton AI song covers. We'll see what happens.
I love it. What about you, Jarrett, over on usatoday.com and everywhere else?
The Michael Vick interview is now live, so go watch, read all.
It was so good.
It was a great interview. I watched it. It was good.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that dearly. I genuinely, that means a lot to me, so thank you. That was a blast. Mike, great guy, and really appreciate the fact that he let me tell a little bit of his story post career. It was really cool. The most useless article you will read, the 2023 all preseason team on USA Today. Go and read that. There's a lot of Cleveland Browns.
Do you know who did not make that list?
Hmm.
Jalen Mayfield did not make that list. TJ Watt went
sorry.
ahead and ended that career at that
Jalen
swing
Mayfield
tackle
isn't
spot.
Jalen Mayfield ain't making a lot of lists unless
He
it's
did not make a list this week.
Nick Herbig also made sure Jalen Mayfield didn't make that list because he threw his hands down and went inside on him and ate whoever was at quarterback. I think it was Logan Woodside.
Yes.
Falcons at that time. So
Maybe
When I say Jalen Mayfield it may be the worst Falcons draft
Horrendous.
pick of my lifetime, I'm not understating it. Like everything he did was horrific.
where did he go to school? Michigan?
Yes.
maybe he'll make the XFL list.
That would be fun, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it'd be
but
good.
I don't
I
wish
mean-
ill will, but like he was genuinely the worst
Awful.
Falcons draft pick of my lifetime.
Did
And
you guys
there
trade
was a lot of
3
those.
first-round picks for him?
Oh goodness
Good
gracious!
God.
I
No,
will
but we
say this,
drafted
though.
him and he played a lot of snaps and was bad for a lot of snaps. Like
Well,
really,
good.
really bad. The worst left guard in football. And it wasn't really close. And then they were like, last chance, swing tackle. Nope. Not going to do that either. Going to be the worst swing tackle in football, actually. He was like, Jalen Mayfield was 1,000% horrific at every offensive line position he played in the NFL.
I do
that's it.
genuinely think when I worked for Football Outsiders, Jalen Mayfield was the worst offensive lineman that we had graded like in 2020 and 2021. Like he was the worst.
Yeah.
Like the bottom of the list. And there were a bunch of bad teams in the pandemic.
Yes. And as someone who watched every snap of his, it was felt in real time.
So go read the 2023 all preseason team. Again, means
you go.
absolutely nothing. We know who's at quarterback though. America's quarterback. I'm not going to say his name. I'm not going to ruin it, but we all know who I'm talking about. And then by this time, literally at this time next week, what are you laughing at, JP Acosta?
I was going to make a joke there, but I decided not to.
Go ahead, do it. Now I'm curious.
America's quarterback, Deshaun Watson.
Sure.
Oh.
No. I thought you were going to say
wait.
America's. I thought you were going to say America's quarterback Trey Lance because he's now on America's team. That would have been
Well, when you really look at America, seems like Deshaun Watson. is
Yeah,
America's
yeah. You can't argue that one.
Well, to not end on that note, at this time next week, I will be finishing up the second iteration of Power Rankings for USA Today, the Week 1 edition going into Week 1. My quarterback rankings with the first iteration of those behind the steel curtain on SB Nation. So my Tuesdays will be, well, I guess my Mondays will be very busy doing a lot of rankings. So those will start next week. And then, listen to the pump fake. I will be doing my final edition of my preseason award predictions this week. So who I think will be MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, rookie, all that fun stuff. I'll tell you who I think will win all those awards. So listen to the pump fake for that.
There you go. Evan, you feeling better?
I'm so tired, dude.
But are you feeling better after this pod? Do you feel better about Trey Lance? Are you
Yeah,
feeling,
man.
Can you be happy? Your team's gonna win a lot of games.
I went to Disneyland yesterday.
You didn't die.
I didn't die.
Did you enjoy it? Are you too old for the rides? Did they hurt? Are you sore today?
So I haven't been on a roller coaster since 3rd grade. So
Ooh.
Oh my!
we started out with the Guardians ride, which is Tower of Terror.
Oh,
Started there, and I gotta say it was a lot less scary than obviously young 3rd grade Evan thought it would be. We did the Incredibles ride, which was super fast. Overall, man, I think Disneyland's hella overrated.
oh, this is
Disney
Like
World,
I'm
Disney
team
World's
team
much
Evan.
better.
But it's just like I'm sitting here thinking. First off, I was more enamored by the supply chain, the logistics, the the fact like how they have everything perfectly organized so that like the experience is constantly going. That was what was impressive to me. But like I have friends who are literally like, oh, I like to go once a month, and I just don't get it. Like I obviously now, granted, I will say caveat: I didn't get to go to Disneyland. I went to California Adventure, so I didn't get to see Galaxy's Edge, Star Wars, which I would love to see. But like, it was a lot of walking. It was 92 degrees out. We took a lot of breaks. The
That sounds like my personal hell.
The food was okay. We got lucky. Like the lines where I don't think we waited in line more than 25 minutes. We had one of the rides that was the one my buddy wanted to go on was closed all day. And then as we were walking past it, they were just like, we're opening. And we got on and we did the ride. And once we got off the ride, it was a 75-minute wait. So we got in there. But I had fun, but I'm not going to Disneyland unless someone's like, hey, I want to go to Disneyland while I'm in LA.
So two things here. One, with all due respect, going to Disneyland and then immediately admiring the supply chain is the second most washed thing I've heard on this podcast. And that's behind Morning Dew.
Love a good morning dew. Saw a groundhog today enjoying the morning dew. That was fantastic.
The morning dew does rule.
The sheer machine that is organizing and herding tens of thousands of people all in a day is just, it's insane to think about. Like Big Brother's watching at all times, trying to make sure everything's good. I
played Roller Coaster Tycoon. I know what it's like.
I don't like
running a theme park.
I don't like the boba balls, right? The tapioca boba balls or whatever. I just don't know whatever. I got a drink anyways. Yeah. I got a drink, like an alcoholic beverage that had that in there from Ant-Man's little whatever. And I was like, oh, I don't like this. And I took a spoon before I could even get one of them out. Someone was on my shit. Like, can I get you a new one? I was just like, yes. What? It was insane. It was insane. I'm very impressed with it, but yes, I am washed.
Yeah. So second thing is I've only been to Disney World. So my opinion is very biased, but I do think Disney World is better than Disneyland. There's just more things to do.
For everything I've heard, that Disneyland is more of a pure Disneyland experience, but Disney World is bigger.
There's a whole lot more stuff. There's 4 theme parks instead of just Disneyland, California.
Yeah, because they tried to make it a whole city.
It is a whole city.
They wanted to incorporate. Yeah.
When you enter a theme park or enter the Disney World Resort area, there are no mosquitoes.
But do you know what Disneyland has that Florida Disney World doesn't?
What is?
Less Floridans.
That's true. That's very fair. Very fair. That skews it a lot in Disneyland's favor.
But either way, it was fun. You guys, I don't know about, I'm thinking about starting a TikTok now that the season's starting. That's just 49ers. I feel like that's something that I should have done a long time ago. Maybe you guys could talk me into it.
You should do it. That'd be fun, especially the immediate reactions. And it's better than putting it on X, right? Twitter, whatever. Just put them on TikTok and everything.
So
I'm just thinking about how much I viscerally hate Disney World after we talked about that.
Never been to any of them. I've been to SeaWorld 7 times. And
Disney World is
fun.
SeaWorld's more of a aquarium zoo. I like the animal parts of it.
I would have loved to have seen animals more, but SeaWorld's a bad place. Nobody should go there.
Well, look, I was 7 and 12 and I know, but part of me, I like the orcas. I saw it and I was like, that was cool. The orcas are cool. I'm pro orca. And you don't know. You're just young and dumb, and you just see big fish, and you're like, "That's cool."
My only trip to Disney World, I was 17. It was in July. It was 97 degrees and humid.
Oh, no.
It's always like that. Yeah.
It was 92 degrees.
It's a different heat. No. California heat and Florida heat.
I'm not saying it's the same. I'm just saying that you're outside. And it's so hot.
It's a different hot though, Evan. I'm telling you, you feel slimy.
It's more. I get it. I know it's worse. I'm just saying
humidity.
I'm just saying being outside when it's that hot of any stature, whether it's humid or not, and doing 7 hours, 6 hours, it's crazy.
I have never prayed to whatever God that would listen to take me from this planet and just. I was ready to meet my maker.
You made a rookie mistake. The rookie mistake was going to Disney World in July.
Oh, it wasn't my choice, man.
No, I'm saying the mistake is going to Disney World in July when you don't have small children. That's the busiest time of the year by all accounts in terms of attendance, in terms of people staying at resorts. Busiest time of the year. It's also the hottest time of the year in the state of Florida. You don't go during the peak summer hours, which is June, July, August. and then you kind of don't want to go during Christmas or New Year's because that's when they're doing all the fun stuff, the fun Christmas stuff. The best times to go are around the March, February time because that's before spring break for kids in Florida, which is around like April. And so nobody's going to be there. And then like September, October, November. Those are the best times to go. There's no
November I could do. I think November would be cool.
Not a lot of kids, not going to be too hot. The lines are going to be shorter. It's basically like you're going to have most of the resort to yourself unless like some kid, like a couple of kids will be there. But that's just come from me having like years of experience and like doing this Disney thing a whole lot. Like another thing you're supposed to do, you bring your own waters. Just bring a water bottle. You don't have to pay for anything, and you always have water. I
got my Nalgene at all times. I think I'll be all right.
Exactly. You bring a little water bottle. You maybe bring like a little snack or two along for the ride, and you don't have to spend as much. Maybe it's just for the aesthetic.
This. The one thing I didn't do, which I was very happy, is I didn't drink a lot. I had one outdoor hot beer. It's hot out, cold beer. And that was great. Having a cold beer in the heat is great.
That's the first cold beer. Very high on the ranking of beers.
Right. But other than that, going there and getting drunk seems like a wild choice.
So Epcot, you do this thing called drinking around the world.
I know. Yeah, I've seen that.
I've never done it, but I want to. You start in wherever you want to go for a around the world showcase, and you just have a drink at every stop. There are 12 stops. So,
not to be confused with Russell Crowe's fighting around the world.
Not to be confused with that. You probably should not fight at Disney World, although it has happened recently.
I've seen lots of those videos too.
That's the worst kind of fight to get into. Like the fight at Disney World,
sweaty.
It's hot, sweaty. Nobody's here to fight. Like you fighting in front of the 5-year-olds who just want to go see Minnie Mouse, and you out here throwing hands. They put you in Disney jail for that. And Disney jail is not really like super serious, but it is like embarrassing to say, yeah, I got put in Disney jail for trying to beat up some middle-aged man who tried to cut in line for a Mickey bar.
Is there a better feeling in this world than going from like a super like hot outside into a place with air conditioning, taking a shower, and then coming out and drying off and just being like cool?
There is one pretty good feeling. Watching the fireworks at Disney at night. Peak. I'm telling you, it's awesome. It's just awesome. They got the music going. They light up the castle with like they have some of the animation on the castle. It's very cool. And then Epcot does one where it's like they do harmonious around the world. It's very cool. Objectively, very cool.
I thought you were gonna say something else and go down a dirty path before we.
No. I was gonna see if we're gonna rank the best kind of beers, but because we said like the outdoor beer, it's the top beer.
Shower beer.
Never shower beered before. That seems like a level of like alcoholism where I just don't want to reach. If I'm having a beer in the shower, like that at that point, I'm like, yeah, somebody give me some help.
First beer of vacation.
Yes. Good beer.
Great beer.
The first beer at a night with the boys. That's a top beer for me.
Like, are you talking like during the pregame or like get to the bar?
You get to the bar. Get to the bar beer.
Chase, would you like to any good beers on your mind?
We'll talk after. JP, Jarrett, Evan, always a pleasure, and I'll talk to y'all next week.
Cheers, boys.